I'm upset because my girlfriend didn't tell me she had kids. The author of the post is listed in the description. I am 28M and my girlfriend Kat is 25F. We've been together for a little over 2 years. Our relationship has been pretty awesome. She really lights up my life and I adore her. Yesterday I was helping Kat move to her new house. Everything was normal until the bottom of the box that I was carrying up to her room fell through and it all ended up on the floor. Everything that was in the box was okay except this small wooden wicker box that split a little bit around the hinges for the lid. Because of the way that the little box split, a photo had slid out. I opened the lid so that I could put the photo back in. I wasn't trying to snoop at all, but I decided to look at some of the photos. It was a lot of family and pets and friends from different places and life stages. A memories type of thing. Then I came across a few photos of Kat in a hospital bed holding 2 newborn babies, followed by more pictures of the babies. I kind of froze and my stomach twisted. Kat walked into the room and saw me sitting on the floor with the baby pictures and she looked horrified. We didn't say anything for a few moments, and then she sat on the floor in front of me and asked if I had any questions about what I had just found. I asked her if these are her babies, and she started crying while nodding yes. I felt myself get angry, and I asked her why she would hide them from me. We've been together for over 2 years, and we were starting to plan our future. I told her that I don't want to be a stepdad, and she had told me that she didn't want to have children. At this point, I was yelling. I've never yelled at her before, and she was just crying, not saying anything until she blurted out, "They're dead." I didn't have anything to say, and I couldn't stand to look at her, so I left. I decided to call my parents, and I told them everything that I put in this post. My dad says that I need to talk to her, and that I was rude and unempathetic in the way that I handled things, and my mom totally reamed me out for walking out on a good woman who has clearly gone through something traumatic enough that she never wanted to talk about it because I couldn't handle myself for 10 minutes to let her explain. My best friend thinks that I'm justified, though. She's been trying to call me and sending me texts, asking to meet with her so that she can explain everything. But I just feel betrayed and confused. I don't know where to go from here. Relevant comment. Commenter, I can see why you feel like you were blindsided and lied to, and it's a big secret she kept from you. But have you stopped at all to consider that the trauma of losing her babies has been so much that she hadn't wanted to relive their memory to you? That she was scared of this very reaction from you? They died, bro. It's not like they've been hiding in the closet while she waits for you to marry her to yell, "Surprise, you're a daddy now!" Bit of sympathy and a chance for her to explain is warranted. Don't be a douche. Oop. I think I also feel really weird about knowing that another man got her pregnant, and I know that's stupid. Update. I'm not sure how many people will be interested in this update, but I figure I'll put it up. The discovery of the photos and my really shitty reaction all went down on Sunday. Today is Tuesday for anyone who's unclear about the timeline. Long story short, I really fucked up. Long story long. On Monday night, Shorty, after having my ass handed to me by everybody in the comments and DMs, as well as my mom telling me that I'm not the son she raised, I decided to call Kat and asked her if we could talk about everything. She said yes, but that it's an in-person talk, so we made plans for me to go over to hers today, evening. I couldn't focus on anything at work, so I cut my day short and went to her place earlier in the day. It was a difficult conversation. She told me about how she ended up in an abusive relationship when she was just under 18. She talked about how this man had so much control over her that she could hardly even breathe and the vile things he would say, do to her. Eventually, he got her pregnant by force and she wanted to abort, but he basically locked her in the basement until she was too far along to do anything about it. The twins were born, and she knew that she needed to escape with both of them. She played happy family and did her best while she made arrangements and healed physically. Having twins gave her an excuse to have her mom come around to help with everything, including documenting and escaping. Everything was ready to go when the twins were 1 year old and Kat was 20. Basically, he figured it out at the very last second. Her children died at the hands of their father, and he tried to kill her too. She told me about the guilt she felt in so many ways from wanting to abort them to begin with. Having kids with the wrong person, not being able to get them out safely, and why she deserved to live when her babies didn't. She went through a ton of therapy and was eventually able to get to a good place and start living again, thriving honestly. She said that she didn't think she could love again, and she fell in love with me unexpectedly, so she never thought about how she would share this part of her past with a new partner. She felt it easier and safer to just never bring it up, but apologized for not telling me sooner. I told her that she has nothing to apologize for, and my initial reaction was unjustified. I should have stayed and talked to her. I shouldn't have raised my voice at her. Everything I did was wrong, and that I am so sorry for not being a better partner and a better man. To address some of the comments in my OPs, I never asked her if she had kids. I only asked if she wanted kids to, which she said no. She never lied. She just left out the horrible passing of her children, which I now understand. Thank you to everybody who was, rightfully, brutal and honest. I'm not sure where our relationship will go from here. I'll update in the future if there is any interest there. I found out that my girlfriend had kids and I reacted really badly. I wish I never found out 2 days later. A few years before I met my girlfriend, she had twins who passed away when they were a year old. I only found out because I came across some baby pictures when I was helping her move. I don't think she was ever planning on telling me about them. At first, I was angry, and I lashed out at her instead of just giving her the opportunity to explain. I made the mistake of making this a me issue, and now there might not be any going back to what we had. I still feel confused. Everything that she's told me about her past has been true. She just decided to leave out the parts where she had kids, and they died. I get that that's probably the worst thing that a person can go through, especially with how it happened. But how do you get 2+ years into dating someone before ever telling them? She's told me that she needs some time and space to figure out where she wants to go from here, because she didn't like how I reacted to the news, and she sees me differently now. I messed up, and now I might lose the most incredible woman I've ever known. I'm terrified, and I just want to go to her and hold her and beg her for forgiveness, but I know that will only make her feel smothered. I wish I could go back. I wish I never knew. Update. To recap, a few years before I met Kat, she had twins who passed away when they were 1. I found out because I came across some old photos. I reacted horribly, and she asked for time and space away from me. For over a month, I waited. I waited for her to speak to me again, hoping she could forgive me and we could move on together. Mid-December, she called me and told me that she wanted to talk. I was ecstatic and raced over to her place, only stopping to get flowers on the way. When I arrived, she let me in, and I saw that she still had not finished unpacking. In fact, it looked like she never even started to. She noticed me looking around and told me that she's moving in with her brother who lives in another province, and that she doesn't want to be with me anymore. I begged and pleaded and told her that she meant everything to me, and I would do anything to make things right. But she stayed quiet, only shaking her head before saying that she doesn't feel emotionally safe with me anymore. She told me that if I had reacted differently when I found out about her lost twins, then she would have been able to move past this with me, but that my reaction told her everything she needed to know. You made my traumas about you and your backwards feelings and reacted explosively over something that has nothing to do with you. How could I ever trust you to work through anything difficult? Then she asked me to leave. I put the flowers on the counter and left. A week later, she texted me to tell me she had a box of my things and I needed to come get them. When I arrived, the door was unlocked and I walked inside. The house was completely empty aside from a box with some of my clothes, pictures, trinkets, and gifts, memories of us. And the flowers I brought her, wilted and dead, with a note that read, "Lock the door when you leave." Fast forward a few days, it's Christmas Eve, and I went over to my parents' place. We had a quiet evening, and as per tradition, my siblings and I stayed the night. On Christmas morning, I texted Kat to wish her a Merry Christmas, but the bubble turned green. I was blocked. Later that evening, my mother left the room and called Kat to wish her a Merry Christmas. She adores her. I did tell my parents that we were broken up and she moved away, but I never actually told them any real details of the entire event. My mother came back in tears, seething with rage, and screamed at me to get the fuck out of her house. Kat told her everything, in excruciating detail. I was effectively disowned by my family with the exception of one brother. My life was falling apart faster than I could gather the pieces, and I slipped into a deep depression. For months running on autopilot, I drank too much and smoked too much and let myself go. After a string of bad decisions, my brother who kept contact convinced me to go to therapy. It was hard, but it helped a lot, and I soon started picking myself back up. A couple months ago, I was scrolling socials and saw a post featuring Kat from a mutual of ours. They were on a group vacation and Kat had a new boyfriend. I decided to send our mutual, Anna, a DM asking about Kat, and I was met with a surprisingly friendly response of mild and vague info. She's doing well and thriving in BC. We continued to chat for a few days before we decided to meet for coffee. Anna and I have been seeing each other since and recently made things official. I love her more than life itself, and I plan on marrying her one day, but my heart still aches for how I hurt Kat. Edit. Few things have come up. 1. Anna does not know. The story Kat gave her was that she fell out of love with me, so she ended it and I never corrected her. I assume it's because she doesn't want to tell people her story. 2. I told my parents that she had kids that passed away, how I found out by accident, and what my reaction was. I never gave them all the details that came from my second conversation with Kat. 3. As for being in love with Anna after only some months, when you know, you know. I did love Kat. I loved her very much, but not how I love Anna. Okay, next story. Aita for not wanting to name our son after wife's dead brother. Obligated, this is a throwaway. I don't want this reaching friends or family. Also, I'm sorry for the length. I didn't know a good way to shorten this without leaving out anything important. I was directed here upon the advice of a friend. After this issue escalated to a huge argument, approx 3 hours ago, that resulted in myself leaving our home to go to a buddy's house. I am still here, and unsure how to go about resolving this with my wife. Myself, 28EM, and my wife, 26M, have been together for 10 years and married for 4 of those. My wife is pregnant with our first child, a boy, and she is due in early July. Now onto the issue that has arisen. My wife wants to name our son after her brother, who passed a little over a year ago. Her brother, we'll call him T, was her only sibling and they were very close growing up, as they were only 2 years apart. However, her brother was not the most pleasant person. Her brother was a drug addict starting from age 14. 15. He stole from everyone around him, including myself and my wife. He was abusive to every one of his partners and his child, and he served several years behind bars. T was also abusive to my wife and her parents. He had a stay-away order from our home because he broke in while we were away and stole our TV, my wife's jewelry box, and one of my hunting rifles. T passed last year in April from a drug overdose, and it affected my wife very deeply. It was her first major loss she has suffered, and she still attends therapy to help cope. When we found out we were having a boy, she immediately wanted the name to be T's name. I heavily disagreed, and I have offered many replacements, other family names like her father or grandfather's, but she will not budge. She wants our son to have the exact same name as her brother, first and middle. She has even gone as far to say that if we name him something else, she will have it changed, or only call him by T. My final straw was when my wife ordered a blanket with T's name sewn into it for our son. I blew up, and I told her I was not naming our child after a drug addict who took advantage of everyone around him. My wife blew up at me. She screamed at me to leave, threatened to call the police if I didn't. She called me a piece of shit for talking about her dead brother like he was trash. I did leave. I told her I would attempt to speak to her again about this once we had both calmed down, and I apologized for speaking about T in a negative way. I'm getting calls non-stop from her family, calling me names for speaking about T and not wanting to honor him by naming our son after him. My family is on my side, her family is on her side, and my friends are split on the matter. So Reddit, strangers on the internet, I need your opinion on if I am indeed a massive asshole for not wanting this name for our child. Update. Hello, internet humans. Not sure if any of you remember my first post a few months back, but I just logged on and saw I had a few messages, so I figured I would post an update. Sorry in advance for the length. So, if you recall in my first post, me and my wife were expecting a baby boy in early July, and our conflict was occurring over my wife wanting to name our son after her late brother. We got into a huge fight. Some names were called and threats were made, and I was led to this subreddit to ask advice and opinions of internet strangers. Well, a week after the post, I sat down with my wife and we had a very long and difficult conversation. She broke down and admitted she was struggling more than she let on with the loss of her brother, and she told me she felt uncomfortable talking to me about it due to my feelings towards him and how he lived his life. I was devastated, to say the least. I have never felt like such a horrible partner. I was selfish. I failed to see him as anything more than his mistakes, and I failed to support my wife through his death. It was a long talk with lots of tears, and we both agreed to be more open in the future and less judgmental. We started attending therapy together less than 2 weeks after that, and we have been going ever since, once a week. It was rough at first, but it has helped tremendously in dealing with the bumps in the road of marriage. As for our son, we came to an agreement on a name after lots of long discussion, a first name we both adored, and her brother's middle name, just spelled differently. A good compromise for both of us, and it was my son's own name that no one before him had carried. We were both happy. Then, on July 3rd, 2022, my wife delivered a beautiful, healthy 8 lb baby girl. To say that we were shocked would be an understatement. My daughter came home the next day, and since then I am still in awe of how we created something so perfect. We didn't figure out a name until she was a week old, but I am happy to share that Eleanor Shea is what we came up. We are still adjusting to life with an infant, but so far it has been nothing short of amazing. Thank you for your past advice, internet friends and strangers. New update. I am just here to vent my frustrations and scream into the void about my current situation. I can't talk to anyone in my personal life about this. My wife is cheating on me. My wife is cheating, and she has been for the past 2 months. I just don't understand. I don't even know where to start to begin to understand. We have a beautiful home, stable careers, we're not financially struggling, no drug or alcohol abuse, we attend therapy together. Our daughter is healthy, perfect. Our 6-year wedding anniversary is 3 months from tomorrow. We've been together 11 years. I have spent the last 2 days examining everything about us under a microscope, trying to find a crack. Where I went wrong? When did she become unhappy? When did this life, our life, become unsatisfactory for her? For her to step outside of our marriage with some random guy she met on Facebook? For her to throw our family away? I just don't understand. I found out on Monday, completely by chance. My daughter's tablet was dead. I grabbed my wife's iPad so she could watch her nighttime videos and go to sleep. Wife isn't home right now. She's on a trip and won't be back for another 4 days. I keep hearing message notifications dinging on her iPad while my daughter has it, so I took it to turn it on silent, only to see a man's name I didn't recognize with a little winky face next to it. I went through everything. They've done it all, met up, spent the night together, went on dates. They even have a romantic cruise planned for next month. The same cruise she told me was a bachelorette trip with one of her friends. All of these outings that I encouraged. She told me they were with friends. I encouraged her. I was so proud she was getting out there and becoming more social since she expressed motherhood made her feel like a recluse. And after digging a little deeper, all of these new friends she's been out with don't even exist. All lies. They are characters she's created to continue her relationship with this man. I feel like a complete and total idiot. I never second-guessed a lie she fed me. I gave her my 100% trust. We've been doing couples therapy for a year. We communicate, we go on dates, we get each other gifts. Our sex life was great. I never, not even for a second, would have suspected this. I don't know how to confront her with this. I don't want this. I don't want to split up our home. But I know that this isn't something therapy can fix. I know myself well enough to know I'll never be able to trust her again. Do I just let go? Let her go be with this man who clearly makes her happier than I can? My entire existence is intertwined with her. How do I even begin to untangle that and separate? I have 4 more days to sit and overthink this. I genuinely don't know what to do. August 14th, 2023. I posted here almost a month ago venting my frustrations about discovering my wife's affair, and I received a magnitude of comments and messages filled with advice and kind words. For that, I thank everyone who took the time to comment or write me, and I'm sorry for anyone who related to my situation. I'm here with somewhat of an update, but mostly more venting. My life is upside down, and it feels good to get it all out somewhere. Sorry if a lot of this is rambling, and sorry for the length. After making my post, I took the advice of everyone and gathered up all evidence and contacted lawyers in my area. I found a really great one and went ahead and started on divorce papers before my wife got home. I also got tested for any STIs and told my parents' best friend about the situation. I took my daughter to my parents so I could have the alone time to mentally prepare myself to face my wife with this discovery. I rage cleaned a lot and cried a lot those last 2 days before she got back. I packed some of her stuff, but then unpacked it and cried more. I had it planned to lay out all the screenshots along with divorce papers on our dining room table and just sit and wait for her, but I didn't get the chance to do that. She was supposed to get home later in the afternoon on Sunday, but she ended up getting back around 6:30 that morning. She didn't call or text in hopes of surprising me. I was up drinking coffee, and you guessed it, crying when she walked into the house. I didn't greet her. I just went and got the folders of evidence and divorce papers and gave them to her. I don't remember anything she said that day, but I just said I knew. I wanted a divorce, and I would keep the house as it was in my name solely. It hurt a lot. I wanted to hug her, but also scream at her. Lots of tears from her, lots of yelling at me. I didn't say anything. I told her we could discuss it at length with lawyers present once she accepted the situation and calmed down. I think someone called it gray wall in the comments of my last post. Not entirely sure, but I tried my best to do that and not show emotion, argue with her. It was really hard, hardest thing I hope I'll ever have to do. She betrayed me, but I still felt awful making her cry. She left that day with some clothes, personal belongings, and went to her parents, and my parents and best friend came to stay with me and my daughter. I had my lawyer arrange a meeting between us to discuss custody/belongings/money/everything else that following Tuesday. Well, Monday I got a call from my clinic to come in to review results of STI tests, and as it turns out, her parting gift to me is HSV-2. I cannot describe in words how angry, sad, shattered I am. I'm still accepting it. I don't think I have yet, but I am working on it. I know it's common, very common. It's not going to kill me, but it doesn't make it suck any less. I joined a support group on Facebook. Those people are great. Going into Tuesday with that knowledge was awful. I felt so much shame bringing that up in front of not only her, but both of our lawyers. I knew if I tried to discuss it with her privately, it wouldn't go well, not with the amount of anger/sadness I had in my system. She never apologized. She was a different person that day. I felt like I was looking into the eyes of a complete stranger, no emotion whatsoever. Divorce-wise, everything is cut and dry. We separated finances. The house is mine. We are just waiting the 90 days for it to finalize. There were no objections on her end, but one, she wants to terminate her parental rights over our daughter. I say wants. She is terminating rights, at least trying to. She doesn't want her anymore. Our daughter, our baby. I was fucking blindsided. I'm still blindsided. My daughter is one, but she loves her mama. Mama was her first word. She is one. It's been 3 weeks, and the pain I have felt, the pain for my daughter, for my family, has been indescribable. I don't know who she is anymore. I don't know what changed or when it changed, but it terrifies me. I feel like my entire life was pulled out from under me. I haven't talked to her, per lawyer's advice and my own fear of what I would say. She hasn't seen our daughter. She told me that day she didn't want to. She didn't want any pictures from our home, any memories, just her clothes and electronics. I don't understand any of it. I don't think I ever will. We have to go to court for her petition to terminate rights, and I don't want to look at her. I just can't accept this as reality right now, not after everything. I'm trying as hard as I possibly can to keep a positive outlook on everything and be strong for my family and my baby, but this has been so hard. I hope a year from now I can look back and say I survived that, but right now it feels impossible to even see next week. I'm not suicidal, so don't take it as that. I'm just emotionally, mentally, physically demolished. Absolutely demolished. This is a happy update. Hi there for anyone who has messaged me and the loads of comments I've received regarding my past venting on this account. Apologies first off. I genuinely kind of forgot I had it. Not much of a Reddit guy, but I've been getting into TikTok lately and saw a video about a super depressing Reddit story, and remembered my own super depressing Reddit story, LOL. It's been around 8-ish months since I posted here about my upside-down situation, and a lot of people messaged me in that time wanting to know how I was and what unfolded, and I really appreciate you strangers for all the kind messages. It genuinely means a lot, and I'm sorry I haven't replied or anything. My life has been such a whirlwind these past few months. It's hard to believe that was that long ago. To sum up the sad stuff, first off, my divorce was finalized without any hiccups or holdups. I'm still in the works of trying to sell our old house, but in the meantime, we moved to a new state. My ex is still in the process of petitioning for termination of parental rights. I've only seen her 3 times since moving, and it has been to fly out for court. I was granted temporary full custody in the process, per her request and suggestion, and she was not mandated any visitation and has denied any offer of it. She has not seen my daughter in 7 months. She has requested not to. I don't know what else she's been up to or if she is still with her boyfriend or not. Since the divorce, it has been in best interest of my mental health to keep the contact as minimal as possible. And she has done the same. I have offered many chances for her to visit with my daughter, whether it be video call or flying out, and before we moved, I asked weekly, but it was always a no. Her parents still video call with my daughter, and we're hoping they can fly out over summer and spend some time with her. They've been cut off by my ex as well. I'm not sure what changed, but I can't change it back, and I am accepting it mostly. I wish her well in all future endeavors. Now for the happy stuff that has happened. Firstly, I am a proud Arizonan now. Never saw myself moving here, but we have loved it so far. My parents packed up and came with us, and I don't think I've ever seen them so happy. My daughter is doing amazing. She will be 2 years old in July, and she is the smartest, funniest toddler I've ever met. She knows her ABCs, can count to 20 without help, loves animals and bugs especially. She thinks farts and a cow mooing are the definition of comedy, and she doesn't know, but she has been my biggest motivator to heal from this whole ordeal and be my best self. Like I genuinely don't know how I helped make such an awesome kid. The more her personality grows, the more in awe I am of just how cool she is. I could talk for days about her, so I'll cap it here before this ends up being a Harry Potter-length post LOL. As for myself, I'm in therapy and have been throughout these 8 months, and I'm in a much better headspace. I'm working on getting back on top of my health as I did put on about 30 stress pounds. I'll get there eventually, but I'm not sweating it too much. I have not dated or tried to. I don't think I will anytime soon. I've adjusted to being a single parent pretty okay for the most part. I credit that to my family and friends more than anything because they have been a huge support system throughout this. There are still really hard moments that have happened, and I know there are more to come. But I will roll with it just as I have this and hope to come out on top. This is not the end of the world for me, even if it feels/felt like it in the moment. The sun will rise tomorrow, birds will chirp, and all will be well. Thanks to my therapist for that. Those 2 sentences have helped me immensely. Sorry this ended up being so long. I should really pick up journaling. Maybe a blog or something LOL. But thank you again to everyone who took the time to give me advice in the hardest time of my life. And thanks again if you read this. I genuinely appreciate it. How do you like these stories? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.